This is exactly what the Miami Heat need. Going into his sophomore season, Kel'el Ware has a lot of people surrounding Heat Nation as well as the Miami Heat organization itself very optimistic and hopeful, as it seems like he has all of the potentials to turn into a star player across the NBA. I'm here to break down recent clips of him working out in the Miami Heat facilities with teammates like Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, as well as some metrics that have people considering the fact that Ware might have been the steal of the draft just a year and a half ago. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest. But first, please do remember to scroll down and click the subscribe button to stay up to date with everything Miami Heat. We do appreciate the love and support, so thank you guys. But now let's get to it and break down the expectations for Kel'el Ware. Now, the sophomore slump is something that is universal across all major sports that really is unfortunate. Now, we've seen it in professional football in the NFL as well as in NBA and the MLB. It doesn't matter. The major professional sports, the sophomore slump for someone who we saw come in out of university or out of a development league and become a very, very substantial player in just their opening year of play. Well, again, regardless of the sport. But then in that following year, in that sophomore season, we have seen a consistent sophomore slump for a lot of these big name players. Now, Kel'el Ware last season by no means was the greatest player in the association. That's not what I'm here to tell you. But he was pretty damn good, especially for someone who was only 20 years of age, playing his first year of professional basketball against other professional grown men. And when I say that, you have to take into the consideration the fact that Kel'el Ware was obviously 7 feet tall, but he was only 20 years old, and the size and length was awesome, but the overall stature was just comical to some degree. It really was, in comparison to guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, guys like Jokic, guys like LeBron James. And I know the position may vary, but the idea is the same. The overall size and stature and the overall body mass, that Kel'el Ware didn't maintain in comparison to some of these other guys that we have seen be dominant in the league was something that had to be questioned. Now, we did get some photos of Kel'el Ware showing off his 22-inch arms in the weight room. Obviously, I am just being funny because he still is extremely skinny in stature. But again, he is in the weight room. He's flexing. He's working out. He's feeling good about himself. He's putting in the work, which is exactly what all of Heat Nation and the Miami Heat organization needed to see from this young 21-year-old going into his sophomore season. Because of the gameplay and the overall abilities he maintains on the basketball court with his ability to stretch the entire floor at being 7 feet tall and playing the center position, he can step outside the three-point arc. He can shoot off the dribble. He can catch and shoot. And it's something yes, it's starting to grow in today's game because of Steph Curry and the rest of the three-point shooters that have really made it abundantly popular. But when it comes down to someone with the size and the length and the frame of Kel'el Ware, he is still considered a hybrid, something that we don't see all that often, especially with the ability to shoot off the dribble like we just saw in this past year's summer league, where we saw him doing half spins off the dribble, gathering and shooting from the top of the three-point line with an expiring shot clock. This is not normal. I know as the game continues to progress year after year, it becomes we're more just desensitized to it, in the idea that there's a 7-foot guy shooting off the dribble from 30 plus feet away. Let's not get anything twisted. That is not normal. Like, yes, to see Steph Curry do it as a 6-foot guard, understandable up to this point after what we have watched over the last decade. But for someone like Kel'el Ware to go out there and improve his game this much and to really expand his game even more is fascinating, and all of Heat Nation should be fired up about this. Not only was he working out in the weight room with his Miami Heat teammates, but also in the gym, getting three-point shots up with Tyler Hero, obviously before the foot injury and the surgery took place for Hero in the last few weeks, but also working alongside, and this is, in my opinion, one of the more important pieces, working alongside someone he's going to be in the starting lineup with, hypothetically, from what all the information we know up to this point, in Bam Adebayo, in the 4 and the 5 positions for this Miami Heat organization. If there can be a gelling and just a comfortability between these two players that allows them to really play without having to communicate, and yes, you always want to have communication across the board on your team, whether it's the 5 to the 4 or the 5 to the 1, again, Positions don't matter. If you don't communicate, it is extremely hard to play at a high level, especially on the defensive end. But if these guys can get into a level where it really just becomes muscle memory to some extent, where they know, hey, Bam's going to extend to the wing here because the ball rotated over. Kel'el Ware knows he's stepping up, and weak side is to his back. And if these things can become fluid and muscle memory to some extent, this team is going to be terrifying. And this is not me being biased. This is not me trying to spread propaganda like on Raptors Digest, because Ben Rogers really thinks they're going to win an NBA championship this year. But again, different conversation for a different day. The idea is real, and the ideas are substantial. Kel'el Ware, Bam Adebayo, and the rest of this Miami Heat team could really put the pieces together and play off of one another to really unlock all of their abilities. So, few points on Kel'el Ware that we have to absolutely address. The first thing, this is not the first time Kel'el Ware has accepted the challenge. We broke this down when it initially happened back a few months ago, or really just over a year ago, where Kel'el Ware was called out by Eric Spoelstra. He was called out. We need to see him do more of this. We need to see him be the first guy in and the last guy out of the gym. There's no way around it. He has all the skills. He has all the potential. But if the work ethic is not there, which it absolutely has to be involved and in part of this Miami Heat organization, it's not going to work. And what happened? Well, Kel'el Ware came out and he played in a summer league game and he said, you know what? I accept the challenge. I understand he was a bit harsh. I understand he was blunt, but there's a reason Eric Spoelstra was like that. He is my head coach. He understands the potential I maintain, and that's why they drafted me with the 15th overall pick in the first round of the NBA draft. We got lucky because that dude, he should have went in the top 10 without a doubt. But again, Miami benefited because they know how to scout, they know how to draft, and when they get the opportunity, they take advantage of these high-level players that fall to them mid to late in the first round. So, let's do some comparisons, and we're going to get to Dwight Howard in just a second. You guys might be looking at me like I'm crazy on the other side of the screen, but bear with me for just a second. The overall stats for Kel'el Ware last season during his rookie year: just under 10 points per game at 9.3, just under 7.5 rebounds at 7.4, with 0.9 assists per game. And I know those stats don't jump off the page at you in any capacity. Defensively, the numbers aren't as great as they really appear. When you watch him on the floor, and his ability to alter shots without actually blocking shots, his ability to alter passing lanes without actually getting steals, aren't in the actual game logs and on the stat sheet, but they have to be addressed. So quickly, look at some of his best games. Kel'el Ware had a 25-8 game. That's awesome. But if you go through 22-10, 20-15, 19-17, 19-18, or excuse me, 19-10. Is that 18 or 10? 18-10. Like 17-10. This guy can rebound the basketball at such a high level as well as score effortlessly. We already addressed the fact that he's now expanded his game even more and enhanced it to even a certain or a higher degree, but also the abilities he already maintained were substantial. So who would we compare someone like Kel'el Ware to? Offensively, I have two names: LaMarcus Aldridge and Chris Bosh. I lean a little bit more to Bosh here. Yes, Bosh was a lefty, Ware is a righty, but the overall size and length, the skinny frame, the ability to stretch the floor, knock down free throws at a decent percentage. Yes, I know Kel'el Ware was just under 70% last year. I would bet my life that just in some way, shape, or form improves to maybe even 73, 74, 75% from the free throw line. We know he has the shooting touch as well as the form. If he can really get comfortable at the free throw line, look for that number to go up greatly. But again, if you look at the numbers, these are both of their rookie years side by side, where Chris Bosh has a great advantage. But the games are relatively similar, and with Ware getting older and expanding his game and really learning how to be a professional basketball player, just like we saw Chris Bosh, again, it was to a minimal degree in comparison to Kel'el Ware, but Bosh could knock down the mid-range jumper like LaMarcus Aldridge, and the idea of these bigs being stretch bigs to the point where they're behind the three-point line wasn't something that was taking over the league like it is now. Kel'el Ware has the ability to stretch the floor outside the three-point line and really be a great player offensively while also maintaining some of the greatest defensive potential in the league for a young player. Now, in comparison to someone like LaMarcus Aldridge, who ended up having a great career, one of the better offensive power forwards I ever got to watch as a young basketball fan. And again, and when I say early, I mean like middle school, early elementary school. LaMarcus Aldridge with the Portland Trailblazers had the ability to knock down that corner mid-range jumper or that free throw extended elbow jumper from the mid-range at a level that gave defenses nightmares because they didn't know really how to defend a 4/5 who can pick and pop and knock down a mid-range jumper. Now, Kel'el Ware, based off the stats from his rookie season in comparison to LaMarcus Aldridge's rookie season, has him beat in basically every category outside the blocks per game, where Aldridge had a tenth more of a block per average, as well as the free throw percentage, again, 68.5% to 72.2% in favor of Aldridge. The ideas are just relatively similar. Bosh and Aldridge were at a different time and tenure of this league where it wasn't three-point shots for these stretch bigs, but mid-range jumpers. Kel'el Ware, we don't see him shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers because when he is taking twos, he's at the basket. He's dunking the basketball. He's finishing layups. He's getting offensive rebounds. He's being tough and physical in the painted area. But when we see him shoot the basketball, it's from the three-point line and further out, and he's shown the ability to knock them down, whether it's off a pick and pop, getting lost on elevated screens or elevator screens, and coming off as the free man because all of the attention goes to the roller around the basket. This could really, really unlock this Miami Heat team and Kel'el Ware as a whole. So now let's get to the defensive part of this, and I'll make it quick to wrap up this video. And you guys might be just losing your mind seeing a Kel'el Ware comparison to Dwight Howard. Now, there's a lot of the younger basketball crowd that doesn't know how physically intimidating and dominant Dwight Howard was on the defensive end of the floor. In those early years in Orlando, there was not a better rim protector in the association compared to Dwight Howard. He had a 45-inch vertical with 11-foot arms. There was nothing you could do around the basket without him interfering in some shape or form, whether he was blocking the shot, tipping the shot, or just flat out altering your ability to not shoot the actual shot attempt. He was causing problems. Now, is Kel'el Ware showing the fact that he is that physically imposing? No, I think it has something slightly to do with how the game is played and officiated. Different conversation for a different day, but it is a factor. But if you look at the actual stats in the side-by-side comparisons, where did I put it? Right here. So Ware's rookie year in comparison to Howard's rookie year. If you look at the steal percentages, Ware is just below Dwight Howard by a tenth of percentage. If you look at the block percentages, Ware has Howard beat by a full tick. If you look at things like usage rate as well as defensive win shares, yes, the win share is greatly in favor of Howard. Again, it goes to the way this game was officiated, but there is eerie similarities between these two, and I think with the collection of comparisons we've gone through, in the sense of if we get half of the offensive production we saw from Chris Bosh, from Kel'el Ware with this current roster, Ware is going to be just lights and bounds better than any expectation we have ever put on him. Chris Bosh was a problem, and don't come in here disrespecting his offensive abilities after hearing me if we say get just half of what we saw from Bosh. That dude was the engine that propelled that big three. And yes, I know it's hard to say that with the collection of talent they had with Wade and obviously James. I understand. But if you take Bosh out of that equation, that entire team crumbles. And I'll let you argue in the comments. It's a absolute, complete, and total fact. Where, if we get half of that offensive production from someone that continues to progress and just be half of what Bosh was when he was in that heyday, things are going to be fantastic. And allow him to just continue playing off of Bam Adebayo and representing really that defensive impact that we hope to see. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Let me down below, what are your thoughts and opinions on these comparisons to Kel'el Ware? And I will see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.